It usually shows up in the late afternoon, the stretch of the day where everything feels a little louder, a little heavier, and your toddler is in that clingy, overtired, overstimulated stage where she wants to be held and then put down all at the exact same time. You're standing at the stove, stirring supper with one hand, bouncing her with the other, mentally calculating how long it's been since her last meal, and adjusting bedtime in your head because you can already tell that this evening is going to require a gentler, slower pace and a whole lot of extra patience. There's toys under your feet, the dog needs to be fed, your phone buzzes with a text that you do not have mental space to answer, and you're thinking about the laundry that you meant to switch over but didn't because someone needed you every 2 minutes today. And in the middle of stirring, bouncing, thinking, and predicting, you feel that familiar pinch in your chest, that quiet awareness that you're the only one holding the emotional heaviness of this home right now. And the honest thought slips in, nobody sees how much I'm doing. No one sees how many things that I'm carrying. And you go right back to moving through it because that's what you always do. Welcome to the Modern Homemaker Mom podcast. I'm your host, Jynae Schmidt. If you found yourself here, it means that you're ready to break free from overwhelm, create a peaceful, well-run home, and finally live with more structure, margin, and stability. Here you'll find practical rhythms, real-life systems, and faith-filled encouragement you need to simplify your home and reclaim your time so that you can show up fully for the life God is calling you to. Let's get started. You've been telling yourself that you're tired because the days are really full, because toddlers are demanding, because this season is naturally stretched thin, and some of that is true, but the real reason everything feels heavier than it looks on the outside is because you're carrying these layers of work that no one even realizes exists. You're not just making meals, you're thinking through nutrition, nap timing, and overstimulation cues. You're not just calming meltdowns, you're absorbing the emotions your toddler doesn't have words for yet and can't properly communicate to you. You're not just keeping the house moving, you're holding the entire mental load of how it moves. This isn't just motherhood. It's invisible labor, and it's a kind that nobody acknowledges, nobody praises, and nobody sees, but somehow expects you to navigate without support or pause. The real problem is not your capacity, and it's definitely not a lack of discipline or motivation. It's that you were never meant to be the emotional processor, the planner, the stabilizer, nurturer, the entire mental engine of the home all at once. Not without support, not without having rhythms in place, not without prioritizing rest. You're not exhausted because you're doing too little. You're exhausted because you're doing work that nobody sees and you're carrying weight that nobody else is feeling. Now, I can't just point to one big moment where this invisible work finally hit me specifically. It was more like a pattern that I kept finding myself in over and over and over again. It usually surfaced on the days that felt most normal, to be honest. Nothing super dramatic would happen. There were no big meltdowns, no major crisis, just that steady drip of 100 responsibilities that only I was aware of. And so I would just be moving through my day, doing all the typical quiet things that I do, keeping track of when my toddler last ate a vegetable. Like, let's be real, these are the things that we think of as moms. I was making sure that she was actually getting protein somewhere between the scrambled eggs and rice that she constantly insists on, cleaning up the trail of snacks that seemed to follow her everywhere, anticipating her mood before she even has words for them, soothing her through the bumps and the tears with patience that I honestly didn't even know I had. And then out of nowhere, something simple would make it all crumble down. It would make it all land. Like the moment I was holding her on my hip, carrying 3 other things in the other arm, mentally adjusting her bedtime because I could tell that she was super overstimulated at that time, even though nobody else would have noticed it except for me. I remember standing in the living room, supper was simmering on the stove, toys were scattered everywhere, my mind was running on a checklist that I never wrote down, and it hit me. No one else knows that I'm doing any of this. No one sees what I'm carrying right now. Not in a self-pity, like I was feeling sorry for myself kind of way, but it was just this honest acknowledgement. Because the truth was, if someone replayed my day as if they were watching a movie, they'd need captions just to keep up with the thoughts that constantly run through my head. Thoughts like, was her morning nap long enough for our outing this afternoon? Is she eating enough variety this week? Have I given her enough one-on-one attention, just her and I, like one-on-one? How overstimulated is she right now? Should bedtime move earlier tonight? Do I have a balance with the protein and something light? Like, am I balancing her meals properly? What will calm her down the fastest? What's causing this sudden mood shift with her? And not a single one of those thoughts make a sound because that's exactly what they are. They're just quiet thoughts that only run through the back of my head, or the front of my mind, I guess I should say. I realized then that doing the invisible work isn't always what drains you. It's doing it without feeling seen, without being supported, without anybody there to tell you, hey, that was a lot of work and you handled it really well. And I felt that ache deep in my soul, not because I needed an applause. I didn't want an audience telling me, good job, you're doing a good job, but because I just needed some simple acknowledgement. And in that moment, God reminded me of something that I didn't even know that I needed to hear. He sees the work that nobody else sees. He sees the patience that I had to pull from nowhere. He sees me nurturing. He sees the emotional labor that's being invested into my home and my family, and none of that goes wasted. That truth and that thought, it really softened me. It really helped me when I thought of it. And it didn't remove the work that I had. It didn't remove and get rid of all of it, but it changed how I felt about it. Real quick, can I say something that might hit close to home? If homemaking feels harder than it should, like you're constantly behind, constantly resetting, it's not you. It's the lack of method that actually fits your season of life. Which is why I created my signature offer, Modern Homemaker Method, and right now I'm rebuilding it. Not because it wasn't working before, but because it's time to teach the secret frameworks that I have trusted myself for years. The ones that have carried me through every season of life. Busy, slow, pregnancy, postpartum, interrupted, and still hold. Yes, I teach decluttering and cleaning, but this goes beyond surface tips. This course is a full roadmap for building a peaceful, life-giving home built around rhythms that honor your energy, your capacity, and your actual life. This course is closed right now while I finish these powerful upgrades, but if you're on the VIP waitlist, you're going to get early access to the course, VIP-only bonuses that the public will not get access to, as well as sneak peeks as I build this next chapter with you in mind. If you're ready for a method that finally works, you can become one of my VIPs by going to jynaeschmid.com/waitlist or tap the link below in the show notes. Remember, this isn't just another course, it's the framework you've been missing, and I can tell you it's going to change your life because that's what it did for me. Now, back to the episode. Now let's take a look at today's shift. You're not tired because you're doing the wrong things. You're tired because you're carrying work that nobody else can see and you've been treating it like it shouldn't count. You've been taking away the value of that. But it does have value. It does count. It counts emotionally, mentally, it counts physically. And the moment you stop dismissing your invisible work is just a part of being a mom, everything's going to change. You start recognizing that anticipating your toddler's needs is real labor, that tracking her cues is real labor, that carrying the emotional weight of the home is real labor. And once you name that, you stop expecting yourself to carry it on this sheer willpower. You stop believing that you should just handle it. You stop assuming that you should be able to do it all without pausing, without rest. You stop talking to yourself like this work is small when it's actually shaping the entire atmosphere of your home. The insight here is super simple. Invisible work is still work, and it does deserve support. Support through rhythm. This is where we can get that support through the rhythms, support through simpler home systems, support through predictable pockets of rest, support through not having to make every decision in real time, support through acknowledging that nurturing is not a soft skill, it's a load that you carry every single moment of the day. When you begin to structure your home in a way that shares that load instead of leaving it all in your mind to handle, that's when you suddenly feel lighter. Not because the work disappeared, but because it finally has somewhere to go other than being stuck in your head all the time. And that's when homemaking stops feeling like something that you have to manage and it starts feeling like a life that you're allowed to live inside. And this is exactly what I help my students do inside my program, Modern Homemaker Method. Now, when this invisible work goes unnamed, goes unacknowledged, it doesn't stay invisible. What happens is it turns into this really, really heavy weight. It shows up as frustration that you cannot explain to anybody, irritation that surprises you, a short temper that you weren't expecting from yourself, and that quiet ache of feeling unseen even when you're giving everything that you have. It makes you wonder if you're failing, when really you're just carrying the emotional load of the entire home without a single moment to put it down. You're the one that's absorbing moods, softening those meltdowns, adjusting plans on the go, anticipating needs before anybody says a word about it. And because so much of it happens silently in your mind, you start believing that you should be able to carry it silently too. But that comes at a cost a cost to your presence, your patience, a cost to the gentler version of yourself that you really want to show up as, and a cost to the margin that you desperately need, but you rarely get. Invisible work doesn't just stretch your time. What it does is it stretches your capacity until every single part of the day feels heavier than it should. And the longer that you're going to ignore that load, the more you start to believe the lie that you're the problem of this, when the reality is you're carrying more than any one person should ever have to carry alone. Now, think of it this way. Imagine a home where you're not carrying every single unspoken detail alone, where your day has enough predictability that you're not constantly troubleshooting in real time, where the emotional weight isn't balanced entirely on your shoulders. Imagine rhythms that hold the small things so that your brain doesn't have to. A nap routine that steadies the whole afternoon, a meal rhythm that takes the mental gymnastics out of feeding your toddler, a daily flow that gives you pockets of breathing room without sacrificing that warmth and presence that you want to hold. Picture yourself in the late afternoon of the day, time of day that typically feels heavy for a lot of women, but instead you feel grounded enough to set your toddler on your hip without the part of you that braces for the overwhelm that usually comes with it. Go ahead and picture yourself stirring supper with your mind actually present in the moment, not racing ahead to manage the next 5 needs before they even happen. And think of yourself feeling steady, not because the work is entirely gone, but because it's not all on you anymore. And imagine this being your reality. You can end the day with something left in your heart besides that constant exhaustion. Space and softness instead, a deep breath that actually allows you to let go. The margin to welcome your husband home with warmth and love instead of you coming from this place of depletion with no energy left to give. The capacity to sit on the floor with your toddler without feeling like you're being pulled in 10 different directions. This is what happens when invisible work finally gets structure and when that mental load is shared with systems that are going to support you instead of totally relying on you to remove, anticipate, and react to every single moment of the day. Your home doesn't need perfection to feel peaceful and life-giving. What it needs is a rhythm, support, and margin. You deserve all 3 of these things. Now, if you're realizing that your mind is doing more work than your hands these days, that's exactly where the modern homemaker method comes in. Your home doesn't need more from you. It needs rhythms that finally support you so that the mental load isn't something that you carry in silence. So if you're ready for days that feel lighter, for a home that runs with you instead of against you, and for support that actually meets those unseen parts of your life, add your name to the waitlist at jynaeschmid.com/waitlist, or the link can be found below for you in the show notes. Now just remember today, if you walk away listening to me, remember this. None of the invisible work that you carry is wasted. The patience you pull from that back pocket that you didn't know existed, the emotional weight you absorb so that your home can feel steady, those quiet decisions you're making all day long that nobody else is even realizing are decisions that are happening, every single one of those things matters. God sees every single unseen sacrifice, every soft answer you give, every moment that you choose presence over frustration. You're doing far more good than you even realize, and you're really creating this beautiful legacy for your children. Well, thanks so much for tuning in today, friend. If this episode spoke to you, I'd love for you to leave a written review and share your biggest takeaway. I'll see you next time for another episode here on Modern Homemaker Mom Podcast. Did something in today's episode encourage you? If it did, would you take a minute to hit subscribe and leave a quick review? It's such a simple way to support this show and help other homemakers find this encouragement as well. And if you're looking for even more support in your homemaking journey, come join our free Facebook group. Just head over to bit.ly/homeroutines. Thanks for tuning in today. I'll see you in the next episode.